Hi guys, this is Prof P. Class is closed today, or school is closed today, but we still have work to do. So I am going to make a couple videos for you. Um, Much of this information is already posted in Canvas. There are some PowerPoints, there's some code I'm going to go through. This last one we'll go through on Tuesday. Hopefully we'll have school again on Tuesday. So let me just go through a few things here and show you guys an example. What we're starting to work on today and next week Tuesday, is how to use what are called sequential access files. In other words, how to get input for our programs from a file, and how also to send output from our programs to a file. Right now, our main input device, let me go over here and show you. Our input device has been, our main input device has been the keyboard, right? Let me make this a little bigger. And our main output device has been the monitor. But we want to be able to set up our programs, because you can imagine if you have lots and lots of data to input, you don't want to have to type it all in. You'd like to have that data in a file and have your program read it to a file. Also, if you have lots and lots of output, you don't want to be constrained to the monitor. You might want to save it, and so you can save it in a file. And so we're going to be learning how to use what are called sequential access files. Basically just simple, plain vanilla, what I call files that you can read and write in Notepad. Not Word, but Notepad. And if any of you are old enough to know anything about a tape recorder or a VCR as opposed to DVDs and CDs, sequential files are sort of like that. We'll talk about that a little more in a second. So, these are examples of files. Files can have whatever you want to in it. And we can use them to read or write. Now, what I'm mostly going to do here is I want to go through an example and show you this and explain this to you, because using files is a very pay close attention to what you're doing kind of situation. And so you have to understand the concepts. You can't just kind of memorize things. You have to understand the concepts. And so I've started just a very basic program here. The first thing that we're going to do is understand how to create an output file. In other words, how to send output instead of the monitor to a file. So there are kind of 5 steps I like to think about explaining. First of all, to use all the things that we want to use right now, we will have to use another library. The library is called fstream. And so you will have to make sure and include fstream in a program that is going to use files. Then, the same way as right now, the way we represent the keyboard is with this thing called CIN. And the way we represent the monitor is with this thing called cout, right? So those things are what's called objects. You'll learn more about them in 116. But for right now, just think of them as something that has been designed to represent the monitor and the keyboard. And so when you want to send information to the monitor, that's why we do this. So we're sending information. This particular information is being funneled to the keyboard, which is represented by cout. So if we are going to do an output file, we have to create our own output file object. If it is an output file, the data type will be OFStream. And you can name it anything you want to. I could name it XYZ, but in order to be clear about what I'm doing, I always name this thing out file, but it's like you're declaring a variable. So OFStream is like the data type, and out file is the name that I've created for it. So that's step 2. Step 3, I need to associate that out file object with an actual data file. And I've already run this program. I want to just get rid of my file so I can show you fresh. All right. So, since I'm creating an output file, this file does not have to already exist. I'm saying that any information that I send to out file, I want to be put in this file called data.txt. You notice the file name has to be in quotes, and since they're going to be notepad files, you should give them .txt as the extension, although it's not required, but it will make it easier for you to open the files when you want to. All right, so that's step 3. Step 4, let's send some information to it. So notice it's the same format, the same way I would send information to the monitor by sending it to cout. To send that information to a file, I just replace cout with out file. So the information goes into out file. Out file is represented by, out file represents data.txt. Whenever you're done using files, you should close them at the end. It will not always give you a syntax error if you don't, but you should be a good programmer and make sure and close your file at the end. All right, now, I'm actually going to comment out the cout because we're just going to send some information to a file, right? So if I run this program, I get absolutely nothing here because I have not sent anything to cout, right? So if I want to see if this file existed and see what's in this file, then you have to know where your files are in the system. You have to be able to find them. Now, you've got to be able to find your project directory. And in Visual Studio 2017, you are going to go to C, your C drive. You're going to go to Users. Then you go to whatever is your username. Then you look for a folder called Source. And there is a folder called Repos. And the name of my project was Using Files. And if I click on Using Files again, then here is the file that got created, data.txt. And if I click on that, there is the hello world that I put in there, right? Now, you people who are using Macs and different compilers, I really don't know all the steps. You may have to do a little bit of research to figure this out. All the steps, the code works the same, but if I remember correctly, there may be something that has to be done differently. I'm really not sure. And you'll have to know where your project is in order to find it. So you might have to do a little YouTube research, a little Google research, and on Tuesday we'll try to sort it out, but it will be a little bit different, but not the code. The code is exactly the same. So let's just go back over what we did. You have to make sure you include fstring. You'll have to create this file. You'll need to associate the object with a file. So I can put multiple things in here, right? So if I say out file, this is my first file program, and out file, all done, right? So again, if I run this, I won't see anything here, but if I go back to my file here and open it, you see it has additional information in it. So whenever you are creating an output file, if the file doesn't exist, so the first time I ran it, it didn't exist, it gets created. If the file does exist, then it writes over it, unless we do something different, which we'll learn about on Tuesday, right? It doesn't have to be just strings or words. if I create, let's just send some numbers out. Let's just make a little for loop. Num equals 10, num less than or equal to 50, num equals num plus 10. That's just going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right? Out file, num. All right, let's run the program again. Nothing here. Go back out, look at your file. So look, they're my numbers, but notice, why are they all mashed together? Because I didn't put an indel on them. So if I want them all in a separate line, then I've got to put indels. And remember, this is what the file looks like right now, and that exact same file is going to change when I rerun it because it is going to write over the data that was currently there. So again, I just keep this window open, go back to my data file, and so all the information that we sent to out file, hello world, this is my first file program, all done, and these numbers all ended up in this file. Yes? So first of all, I'm going to stop this video here. I'll make maybe a couple more. But make sure you are able to do a simple output problem like this. And you guys can stop and pause this video. Again, step 1, make sure you include fstream. Create an output file object, which the data type has to be ofstream, associated with an actual file. Send some data to it. You can test out whatever you want to. And then step 5 is close the file. And remember, you have to know where to go find your file. Go to users, find your account. This is if you're in Visual Studio 2017. Go to source, go to repos, go to the name of your project, click on the name of your project again. That is where my CPP file is. So the same place where my CPP file is the place where the file will be created. All right, so make sure you can do this first, and then I'm going to continue with another video.